Hello, welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you would like to help support my channel by subscribing. Also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such, I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of the lands upon which I reside. So this video is going to be about the upcoming full moon. It will be a super full moon, and here in Adelaide, South Australia, it will be taking place on Wednesday, the 5th of November at 11:49 p.m. So that's Australian Central Daylight Savings Time. And if you are in other parts of the world, it could very well be happening on the 6th of November. So full moons occur when the sun and moon are opposite each other, and the sun is shining a light on something that has been hidden, revealing it, bringing it to our conscious awareness. This moon is going to be in Taurus, so that's 13 degrees 22 minutes of Taurus. So if you have a copy of your natal or birth chart, look to see what house Taurus is in, because this could very well represent that something is coming to light in this particular area of your life during this full moon. And Taurus is about our values, finances, sort of all that foundational stuff. So it could be highlighting something there. Also our personal ethics, I said finances, so banking, markets, and the like. But Taurus is also connected in with nature and natural resources, and a lot more I'll go into detail in a moment. As I said, the sun and moon are opposite, so this means that the sun is at 13 degrees 22 minutes of Scorpio, which sort of brings its own intense energies that could be highlighting things that need to be transformed. Also, so power dynamics and those sort of deeper emotional truths that are maybe all bubbling away under the surface and are beginning to come to light. As I said, this is also a super full moon, meaning that the moon is closer to the earth on its ecliptic, and as such it has a greater pull on the tectonic plates as well as our psyches. Depending on tide, you might experience a high tide, stronger high tide than normal. There could be more sort of we've just seen a few sort of hurricanes hitting Jamaica, so more events like that in relation to water. The moon itself, when it comes to a full moon, is about completion. It's the end of the lunar cycle. So if you're into manifesting, cast your mind back to April this year, because that was when we had a new moon in Taurus. What seeds did you plant then? Have they come into fruition, manifestation? And if not, what has been revealed, especially in relation to what needs to be released in order for these new energetics to come through? Another interesting point about this full moon is that we do have a number of planets and points which are either at the anaretic degree point, so that's around about 29 degrees of a particular sign, or in those sort of what's called the creator degree points between 0 and 1 degree of their sign. And as such, this sort of indicates that there's an emphasis on endings and beginnings, 29 degrees endings, 0 to 1 degrees beginnings. So also a closing out of the old, again, to enable the new to enter. So we've got Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, Uranus at 1 degree or 0 degrees of Gemini, with Sedna also at 1 degree, so Uranus at 0 degrees, Sedna at 1 degree, both of Gemini. We have Venus very close to 28 degrees of Libra, so it's a little bit outside this range. We have Mars at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, and also Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius. So something to think about, endings and beginnings. So let's look at this full moon, as I said, it's in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So along with the other fixed signs, these are the doers. They sort of like implement the ideas that come through from the cardinal signs. They are known for their stability, for their consistency, and also their ability to sustain things. This sort of stable nature makes them almost the anchors of the zodiac. So at this new moon, there could be a realization that what has been distracting you or taking you away from what is truly important to you or what you actually need or where you have been investing your energy, especially when it comes to your core values. So that might come to light. So it's about a realignment, calling your energy back to yourself and grounding it so that it supports you. And as I said, opposite the moon, the sun is in Scorpio, which is about bringing us into the depth of our psyche that we may not actually acknowledge or even be aware of at this deeper level. There is also an increasing awareness, again, of where our energy is being directed, both internally and also externally. So it's bringing us back to what we want to achieve and what we actually value. That's the Taurus aspect. And you may even find yourself returning to something that you have pulled away from. There are three interesting aspects around this full moon that are sort of adding the energetics. Firstly, we'll look at Venus, because Venus is the planetary ruler of Taurus, and Venus is at, as I said, 28 degrees of Libra. It's in a T-square with Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius, as I mentioned, and also Jupiter, which is at 5 degrees, 25 minutes of Cancer. Now, Pam Gregory, who's one of the astrologers that I sort of follow, her link is below for her recording on the full moon. She indicates that this T-square could actually bring up some issues around leadership qualities, especially as Pluto is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of the people. And although it's currently out of bounds, it's sort of indicating possibly a revolutionary behavior up until the 23rd of November. Or it can even bring about an expansiveness or an intensification due to where Jupiter is placed, and Jupiter is also the planet that's associated with expansion. The second interesting aspect of this full moon is the grand water trine. I did mention a little bit about it last time, which consists of Saturn and Neptune, which are both in Pisces, the trine to Mars, which is Sagittarius, as I mentioned, and again with Jupiter in Cancer. And this started to occur, as I said, at the last full moon, which was in Libra, and it's going to continue until mid-December. So this grand water trine is indicating a degree of responsibility, maturity, especially in relation to futuristic visions, and to have these ideas being grounded by Saturn, thus making them, or making things more sort of practical, more doable, achievable, sort of taking all the ideas from the head and actually putting it into a context where they can be worked through. With Jupiter in Cancer, this is assisting sort of like the fading out of what's not part of your emotional needs or personal freedom. Again, this is all the endings. And there is an emphasis on allowing emotions to rise, to flow. This is all about Cancer. And also asking us to consider what is flowing through our lives and allowing us to flow, to be carried with it. Or is the sort of energy actually overwhelming us, sort of drowning us, so to speak? And the final interesting aspect in relation to this full moon, as Molly McCord considers it's the most important one, and again, Molly is one of those astrologers that I follow, so check out her links below to her recording. And that is, we have Uranus in retrograde at 0 degrees, conjunct with Saturn, as I mentioned, at 1 degrees of Gemini. And they are in a tight opposition to Mars, which is at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, as I mentioned, which is also conjunct with Mercury. Mercury is at 5 degrees 41 minutes of Sagittarius. As Gemini and Sagittarius are both mutable signs, so these are not sort of like, all the 0 degree points are not world points, because those are more on the cardinal signs. But what this actually means that there is a shake-up opposition. Now, this could indicate big announcements and surprises, which is Uranus's influences, changes in mindset and information, Mercury. There could either be something that's going to be revealed, something that you have not been told about before or thought about, and your thoughts are going to turn everything upside down as the opposition comes through. Revelations and also more shocking developments could come to light. And again, Pam Gregory talks about this as an opposition, indicating again the breaking down of the old patterns, and where there is also this big drive for personal freedom. So there could be a change to sort of a change in relation to how you perceive things. Like the veils have really been dropped. So take a look again, if you have your birth chart, to see what house Mars falls in, because Sagittarius is also connected with freedom, this urge of travel, not to mention Gemini is being connected with nonconformity and wanting to do your own thing. So depending on what house these planets fall in, or these signs fall in, these are the areas in your life where you could have some big revealings or shake-ups, especially about how you perceive things. So just a few public announcements, I guess. The next full moon gathering, if you are in Adelaide, will be taking place on Wednesday evening. So that's the 5th of November. We'll be meeting just before 7:30 down at the Sands or in the car park. And we will be starting at 7:30 p.m. down at the beach. Skull Coin donation, and all are welcome. And also on Saturday, the 15th of November, I do have an in-person event starting at 9:30 at the WEA in Angus Street on connecting with your inner warrior woman. You can find out more details through the WEA. I'll put the links below. But that evening, on the 15th, my next offering through the College of Psychic Studies will be about learning about spirits of place and how they come into being and how to work with them, especially in relation to healing. So it's a 3-hour workshop. It'll be commencing around about 10:30 a.m. London time on the 15th. It'll be live streamed and also recorded. So if the time zone doesn't work out for you, if you sign up, you will still get a recording. And again, check out the links below. And as I said, don't forget to visit the links for the astrologers, because I'm not an astrologer, but I do utilize their work. And I suppose I hope this video on the November full moon in Taurus, it's also a supermoon, is of interest. Put your comments below. I do go back and look at them. I sometimes even respond. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing, because that supports my channel. So have a wonderful full moon and blessings.